So we've been getting a lot of questions here lately about why is everybody staying so sick? Why are the hospitals filling back up? Why are nurses being slammed? Doctors are overworked, and people we know are getting sick. But I'm still telling people, look, it's not that bad. I'm going to give you two really good reasons why it's true that hospitals are filling up, people are getting sick. But it's also not that bad. I'm going to show you why it's not that bad. But I'm going to get into a little bit because I get the question all the time, how can you say that, but hospitals are filling up? So first of all, we're going to talk about viruses and how they mutate and how there's different variants. We know that the Delta variant is supposed to be really scary. How does that come about? Where does it come from? Why is it different? So organisms mutate. All organisms mutate. We mutate. We just mutate really, really slowly. Viruses mutate very fast, very, very fast. Their little genome in there can change really rapidly so that they can improve their chances of survival, basically. There's two different types of viruses. You've got the genome, which is called DNA, the double strand, like we have DNA. And then you have the RNA, single-stranded viruses. And those are the really, really fastest of the fast. They don't have a whole lot of protection around their genome. So when they rapidly change, those changes stick really fast. And I'll give you the example of the HIV virus, remember back from like the 80s and the 90s. HIV is an RNA virus, and one viral particle of HIV can replicate, what's the number here? Replicate 10 million viruses in 24 hours, which is it's a lot of number because you get all millions of viruses in there all rapidly changing. So it's said about RNA viruses, it's said their ability to rapidly change their genome underlies their ability to emerge in novel hosts, like switch around in different species, escape vaccine-induced immunity, and evolve to circumvent disease resistance. So they're evolving to change around stuff, and they evolve very, very fast. So as an example of that, I read this article, I found this article, it's called How Viruses Stay One Step Ahead of Our Efforts to Kill Them. Now I got this article from June of 2014, so this was pre all the stuff that's been going on. I want an opinion before that so it's not skewed towards what's going on today. It says that in general, humans help viruses evolve quicker. So what that means is as viruses are circulating through us, we are the environment. That means that every mutation that the virus does, it's another chance that it could better adapt to us, that it can escape what we have inside us to beat them. So the more it's there, we're their environment. So we become helpers for them. And here's a quote. This is an interesting quote. Bacteria multiply quickly, but not as quickly as some viruses. In general, RNA viruses like that HIV, they replicate more rapidly than do bacteria. So that's a quote from Anthony Fauci, the director of National Institutes of Allergies and Infectious Diseases. So back then in 2014, he was talking about viruses mutate quickly. Okay. Now here too, there's a lot of variation. For a population of E. coli, bacteria will mutate at about 1/10 the rate of a herpes virus. So that's on the slow end, and about 1,000th the rate of coronaviruses like SARS and MERS. So we know these things rapidly. Of course, speaking about the coronaviruses, is an RNA virus. It mutates very, very quickly. Then he says this, but here's a twist. When we start overusing therapies to kill pathogens, that can actually speed up the process of evolution. So what that means is when we start trying to kill them, it speeds up their mutation. The more humans get infected, the greater chances of it adapting itself to humans. That's a quote from Anthony Fauci back in 2014. What has changed from December till now has been the amount of therapies we're doing, which would be the vaccine that we're using. This is not about right or wrong for the vaccine. I'm saying we are attacking this thing more aggressively than we attack anything ever on Earth, ever, and it's mutating fast. So why is it mutating? Because we're attacking it. But that mutation does not necessarily mean severity. It just means it's mutating, so we're all getting sick. We're getting sick from the use of this vaccine attacking this viral genome, okay? But here's what's really important. Just because it's mutating doesn't mean we're all going to get way sick the way we have been. I mean, when we're watching the news, when we're paying attention to what's going on out there, I mean, you would think everybody on Earth is sick right now, and there are bodies in the streets and all that kind of stuff. So why would that be happening to that level? Where's that coming from? So I want to read you guys an interesting article. This article was the New England Journal of Medicine, August 1991. The title of this, Psychological Stress and Susceptibility to the Common Cold. Psychological Stress and Susceptibility to the Common Cold, New England Journal of Medicine, 1991. Here's what they talk about. They said the background. It's not known whether psychological stress suppresses host resistance to infection. So does stress get us sick? To investigate this issue, we studied the relationship between psychological stress and the frequency of documented clinical colds among subjects intentionally exposed to respiratory viruses. Coronavirus is a respiratory virus, so this does apply. Okay, so what they did, they took almost 394 healthy people, okay, and they gave them all questionnaires assessing their degree of psychological stress. How much stress are they under in their life according to this stress survey? Then they gave everybody nasal drops containing one of 5 different respiratory viruses. So they got these things in a little nasal sprayer, they put respiratory viruses in there, and they squirted them up into their nose. They used rhinoviruses, respiratory syncytial viruses, and coronaviruses. An additional 26 people were given just saline for control. And then the subjects were quarantined and monitored. So they squirted this stuff up in them, they let them go into these houses, they quarantined them, and they watched and they measured them, okay? So the results, here's where it gets cool. The rates of both respiratory infection and clinical colds. They distinguish between it. Clinical colds were symptoms with verified infection, okay? So increased in a dose-response manner with increases in the degree of psychological stress. The more stress they had in a dose-response manner, the sicker they got, basically. Infection rates range from approximately 74% to approximately 90%. So how many people actually were measured with infection rates inside them? 74 to 90%. And then the incidence of clinical colds range from 27% to 47% according to their levels of psychological stress. The more stressed these people were, the more they got sick, the more their bodies allowed that infection to take place. They said that these effects, and this is awesome, these effects were not altered when we controlled for age, sex, education, allergic status, weight, the season, the number of people who were in the house, or the infection status of the people who are in the house. Whether there were more or less people infected in each house didn't matter. Their age didn't matter, their weight didn't matter, the number of people in the house didn't matter. None of that mattered. Moreover, the associations observed were similar for all 5 viruses. The virus didn't matter either, whether or not they had that level. So the conclusions, psychological stress was associated in a dose-response manner with an increased risk of acute infectious respiratory illness. So that again was called psychological stress and the susceptibility of the common cold. What's going on right now is we're all stressed. We're all scared. The news is killing us. We've been hearing about this for so long. Jobs are down. You know, we're getting back in school. There is a level of stress that we've never had before. And that level of stress is why we're getting so sick. That level of stress combined with we've got this virus and now we're attacking and now it's mutating and we're all stressed out. It's just like a perfect storm and we're all getting sick because of it. If you listen to the TV and it tells you you're going to get sick long enough, your head's going to go, oh my God, I got a sniffle. Am I really getting sick? I think I'm getting sick. If your kid's got a cold or a cough and it's going on for a day or 2 or 3 or a week, you're going to get scared. You're going to go, oh my God, do I need to go to the hospital? Are there really sick people? Yes, there is. But there are always really sick people. Are people getting sick because something crazy is out there? Not necessarily. It's a normal mutation and we're attacking it aggressively, so it's mutating faster. But are people getting sick because we're way more stressed than we've ever been? I think that's the golden ticket right there. That's where we really need to be focusing. What you need to do is reduce your stress. Turn off the TV, go for a walk, exercise, watch your diet, eat well. Vitamin D is really good for your immune system. We're chiropractors here. We adjust people. That helps your body handle that stress so you can stay strong. Those are the areas we need to focus in. I'm going to wrap this up. I told you guys the severity is not worse, just the amount of people. So what I did was I graphed blue and orange. Blue and orange is 2020 versus 2021. 2021 now is orange. And I looked at the month of July through today. All of July through August 9th, August 10th, 2000. So this was the number of deaths from before, okay? The blue, what's the point here is the blue is higher than the orange. So this same time last year is way more people dying. And this time last year, this is the percent of people. So the number of cases divided by the number of people who die, so the percent of people. That number is actually trending down lower and lower for us, and it's way lower than what it was. It's not as severe. The numbers aren't showing it. There's just a lot of people sick, and I believe it's because we're all scared, we're watching the news, and we're all stressed out. So there's not much you can do about virus changing out there, but what we can do is handle our stress. So think about what I told you guys today. Eat well, get some rest, drink some water, take a walk, go get adjusted, and keep your stress levels down, and you will not have to worry about this problem.